Have you ever imagined marrying a complete stranger just to save your reputation? And then discovering he's a billionaire hiding behind a worn leather jacket? Emily Parker faced exactly that shock just days before her dream wedding was shattered by a sudden breakup. Alone and desperate, she agreed to a marriage of convenience with Michael Bennett, a mysterious man who seemed nothing like the wealthy tech genius he truly was. What started as a desperate arrangement quickly spiraled into a whirlwind of secrets, unexpected passion, and a fight for truth and trust. But when the past comes knocking and hidden lives unravel, can their fragile bond survive? Join us as we dive into Emily and Michael's story, a roller coaster of heartbreak, deception, and ultimately redemption. Stay tuned because this tale is anything but ordinary. Emily Parker stood before the altar, her heart pounding beneath the weight of the elegant white dress that seemed to swallow her whole. The room was filled with whispers, not the kind of joyful murmurs one expected at a wedding, but the heavy hum of confusion and judgment. All eyes were locked not on the bride, but on the man standing beside her. Michael Bennett, the man Emily had known for just 2 days. He looked nothing like the fiancé she'd planned to marry. His worn leather jacket clashed with her pristine gown, his unkempt beard and long hair, marking him as an outsider in the polished world she belonged to. The priest's voice wavered. "Emily Parker, do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Her breath caught. She glanced at Michael, whose eyes met hers with a quiet steadiness. Swallowing the shock that threatened to undo her, she whispered, "I do," just days before her world had shattered. Ryan Carter, the man she was supposed to spend her life with, had ended it all with a single message: "I can't do this anymore. We're going in different directions. You deserve someone who loves you fully." 3 years of dreams, plans, and love wiped away in an instant. Emily had read the text 3 times before her hands dropped the phone, numb and trembling. Her assistant looked up, concern etched across her face as Emily fled her office, driving aimlessly until she found herself in a small, cozy cafe in Seattle's historic district. Her mind reeled as she stared at her half-finished architectural blueprints scattered across the table. Then, almost accidentally, she bumped into Michael. His rough hands gathered the papers with surprising care. "Looks like a fascinating project," he said, eyes twinkling with an intensity that belied his rugged appearance. "Sustainable housing?" Emily nodded, intrigued despite herself. His voice was calm, genuine, and unlike anyone she'd met in her polished circles. "I'm Emily." "Michael," he replied simply. Something in his quiet confidence made her invite him to sit. Their conversation flowed naturally. He spoke of traveling, of returning after years away, and hinted at a technical background that piqued her curiosity. Unlike the shallow, money-obsessed crowd, she knew Michael listened, really listened. As the cafe's soft light dimmed, Emily found herself opening up about Ryan, the looming family gala, where everyone expected her to appear as the future Mrs. Carter, and the avalanche of gossip that would follow if she arrived alone. Michael's suggestion was shocking, yet strangely comforting. "What if I came with you as your date to avoid pitying looks?" Then the idea spiraled further. What if it's more than just a date? What if we got married just for appearances? He raised an eyebrow. "A temporary marriage." Emily nodded. "You need a place to stay. I need to save face. We get divorced quietly in a few months. No emotional strings." It was madness, but it was practical. She had a spacious apartment with a guest room ready, and he didn't ask questions. Neither expected much until their hands brushed as they signed the papers, and an unexpected spark jolted through her. Michael's smile held a secret she couldn't yet see. Behind his rugged exterior and casual demeanor lay a man far from ordinary. Founder of Bright Tech Innovations, he had quietly sold his company for millions, choosing to live anonymously to escape the fake smiles and opportunists drawn to wealth. That night, as Emily showed Michael the guest room in her apartment near downtown Seattle, she wondered if she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. The next morning, as the gala invitation gleamed on her desk, she knew there was no turning back. "Smile more naturally," she whispered as they prepared to enter the ballroom. Michael adjusted the borrowed tuxedo, unfamiliar with the polished world she inhabited. The Grand Marquis Hotel shimmered with crystal chandeliers and well-dressed elites sipping champagne. Margaret Parker approached, her expression a mixture of suspicion and thinly veiled contempt. "Emily, darling," she said, lips tight, "and who might this be?" "My husband, Michael Bennett." Emily replied, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. Margaret's cold gaze flicked over Michael, her lips pressing into a thin line. Michael extended his hand unwavering. "A pleasure, Mrs. Parker." 3 days had passed since their impulsive marriage. Contrary to expectations, living together was surprisingly smooth. Boundaries were respected, expenses split, stories rehearsed. "We met a few months ago," Emily practiced quietly. "We wanted something private and intimate." But Michael's quiet confidence and unexpected knowledge about her architectural world unsettled her. When Ryan appeared at the gala with a glamorous blonde on his arm, Emily felt the air tighten in her lungs. "Courage," Michael whispered, steadying her. Ryan's condescending smile barely masked his surprise. "I see you wasted no time." Michael's calm retort cut through the tension, praising Emily's brilliance and dismissing Ryan as a man living off inheritance. That night, Emily stared at Michael's laptop filled with unfamiliar technical drawings. The man she thought she knew was hiding layers an engineer and innovator behind those sketches. Their agreement was fraying, so was her heart. But before the questions could overwhelm her, the clock struck midnight. She had said "I do" to a stranger, a man she barely knew. Yet something in his presence felt achingly real. "Thank you so much for bearing with me through this pause. I know how eagerly you're waiting for the next chapter of Emily and Michael's story. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. What would you do if you were in Emily's shoes, suddenly married to a stranger, just to save face? Do you believe true love can grow from a marriage born out of convenience and deception? Also, please tell me, where are you watching from today? I'd love to know if you're enjoying the story so far. Don't forget to like the video and hit that heart button to show your support. Your encouragement means the world." The weeks after their impulsive wedding unfolded with an unexpected rhythm. Emily Parker found herself sharing quiet dinners with Michael Bennett, a man she barely knew, but who was quickly becoming her confidant. His presence was calming, his insights about her sustainable housing project, insightful beyond what she'd imagined from a stranger. Yet beneath this growing connection lingered a haze of doubt, the secret he carried, the life he hid. Michael was a mystery wrapped in simplicity. By day, he immersed himself in sketching designs and coding, late into the night, painting the image of an artist with a technical soul. But Emily caught glimpses, subtle, almost accidental, of his deeper knowledge, advanced blueprints, financial documents, and conversations laced with references to technologies far beyond her world. The facade cracked one evening when, after a particularly frustrating meeting with investors demanding luxury condos that would displace generations of families, Emily vented her fears. Michael listened intently before suggesting a radical alternative, preserving the historic facade while modernizing interiors to include affordable housing. "That's impossible," Emily had replied. "They'll never accept it." "Sometimes," Michael said softly, "it takes someone with nothing to lose to fight for what's right." That night, as rain tapped against the windows of her apartment, Emily realized how much she depended on Michael's perspective. His encouragement was no longer just a courtesy, it was a lifeline. Then the past came knocking. Ryan Carter, the man who shattered Emily's heart, resurfaced with a storm of suspicion and bitter resentment. He tracked her down at a downtown cafe, his expression a complex mask of regret and accusation. "I've been looking into your new husband," Ryan said, sliding a manila folder across the table. "Nobody knows where he came from. Doesn't that seem strange to you?" Emily's hands trembled as she opened the folder. Newspaper clippings, financial records, and photographs showing Michael in suits in boardrooms, far from the ragged jacket she'd seen at the altar. "He's not who he says he is," Ryan insisted. "This sudden marriage, convenient for both of you, isn't it?" Emily's mind spun. Was she a fool blinded by desperation? Had she traded one lie for another? The accusation echoed loudest in the walls of the Parker family home, where Margaret Parker's sharp eyes scrutinized every move Michael made. Confrontations grew heated, and a private investigator Margaret hired dredged up gaps and inconsistencies in Michael's past. Why did a man with such credentials choose a life of anonymity? What was he hiding? Michael's confession was both revelation and betrayal. He admitted to a prestigious career in sustainable energy innovation, abandoning it after ethical clashes with investors, prioritizing luxury over accessibility. But there was more shadows he refused to fully disclose. Emily felt the fragile ground beneath her shift as Michael's guarded honesty battled her growing mistrust. One night as they sat on the apartment balcony under the vast Seattle sky, their hands brushed and the unspoken tension snapped into a tentative kiss. It was brief but seismic, the start of something neither had anticipated. Their arrangement, meant to be temporary and transactional, had morphed into a complex dance of emotions, affection tangled with suspicion, hope shadowed by fear. Then came the breaking point. A late-night phone call from Ryan sent ripples through Emily's heart. "We need to talk," he said. "I found something you should know." At a quiet cafe, Ryan laid bare his findings, pressing Emily to question everything. But Michael wasn't about to be cornered. He revealed himself as the founder of Bright Tech Innovations, a man who sold his company for millions, choosing invisibility over fame. "I wanted to be seen for me, not my wealth," Michael said, voice heavy with vulnerability. Emily's world tilted. The man she married in haste was a titan in disguise, yet every day with him felt more real than the years with Ryan ever had. As the lines between truth and deception blurred, Emily and Michael wrestled with their tangled pasts and fragile present. Could trust be rebuilt on a foundation of lies? Was love strong enough to overcome the ghosts of their secrets? Amid this turmoil, their shared vision for a sustainable, inclusive community flourished, binding them in purpose, even as their hearts wavered. I'm sorry to pause the story here and ask you to hold on a moment. I know how much you want to see what happens next. Before we continue, I'd love to hear from you. Do you think Emily should forgive Michael's secrets and give their relationship a real chance? What would you do if your partner hid such a monumental truth from you? And please tell me, where are you watching from? Your thoughts mean the world to me. If this story has captured your heart so far, please don't forget to like the video and drop a heart to support. Your encouragement fuels this journey. The months that followed were a testament to the unpredictable nature of life and love. Emily Parker, once shattered by heartbreak, now found herself in the midst of a transformation, not just of the neighborhoods she dedicated her career to, but of her own heart. The story that began with an impulsive marriage of convenience was evolving into something far more profound and enduring. In the bright, airy offices of Parker Sustainable Designs, Emily stood surveying the models and blueprints that told the story of change. Families returning to homes they thought were lost, community spaces revived with thoughtful care, and neighborhoods breathing new life. This was her vision made real, but none of it would have been possible without the quiet force standing beside her, Michael Bennett. Michael was no longer the mysterious stranger who had crashed her life just weeks before her wedding. His secret, his true identity as the founder and former CEO of Bright Tech Innovations, had been revealed. The shock had been immense, the betrayal painful. Emily had wrestled with the truth, torn between the man she had grown to trust and the deception that had clouded their beginnings. Yet time and transparency had softened the sharp edges of doubt. In countless late-night conversations, they laid bare their fears and hopes. Michael shared stories of a world where money meant everything and nothing all at once, where success was often a mask for loneliness and mistrust. Emily confessed her fears of inadequacy, of living in the shadow of expectations she'd never asked for. Together, they forged a new kind of bond, one rooted in honesty and a shared commitment to something greater than themselves. The renewal of their vows was not just a celebration of love, but a declaration of truth and forgiveness. Their next great project was symbolic: the Willowbrook Cafe, the place where fate had first intertwined their paths. Michael had purchased the old building, determined to preserve its soul while transforming it into a beacon of sustainability and community spirit. The renovations blended the cafe's historic charm with cutting-edge, eco-friendly technology, solar panels discreetly nestled on the roof, rainwater harvesting systems, and energy-efficient lighting, all reflecting their shared values. The grand reopening was a community event filled with warmth and hope. Local artisans contributed handmade furnishings. Neighborhood families gathered to celebrate a space that honored their history while embracing the future. Emily spoke passionately about the importance of architecture that serves people, not just profit, her voice steady and clear. Margaret and George Parker. Emily's parents stood in the crowd, their faces softened with acceptance and pride. The skepticism that had once clouded Margaret's gaze was replaced by a genuine smile as she watched Michael navigate conversations with grace and humility. Their initial doubts had given way to respect not for the man's wealth, but for his character. Later, as the sun dipped below the Seattle skyline, Michael surprised Emily with a small velvet box. Inside lay 2 rings, simple yet elegant, their design a perfect blend of classic beauty and modern sophistication. This time, Michael said softly, slipping the ring onto Emily's finger, "Our promises are built on truth." Their vow renewal ceremony took place in the intimate garden of their shared home, surrounded by friends and family who had witnessed their tumultuous journey. The ceremony was devoid of pretense and filled instead with raw emotion, the laughter, tears, and embraces that marked a love earned, not given lightly. In those moments, Emily and Michael weren't just husband and wife. They were partners, equals, standing strong amid the complexities of life. Their relationship continued to grow, nurtured by mutual respect and a deep understanding forged through adversity. Professionally, their collaboration flourished as well. Parker's sustainable designs and Bright Tech innovations worked hand in hand to pioneer projects that married innovation with compassion, technology with humanity. One particularly memorable day found Emily leading a group of local officials and community members through a newly completed sustainable housing project. Children played in the communal gardens, elders gathered on benches, crafted from reclaimed wood, and neighbors shared stories beneath solar-powered streetlights. This, Emily said, gesturing to the thriving neighborhood, is what happens when we build with heart. Michael stood nearby, quietly proud, the man who had once hidden his true self now, embracing a future he never dared to imagine. Yet despite the harmony, the path was not without challenges. The ghosts of their past occasionally cast shadows, unspoken fears, moments of insecurity, and the lingering questions of trust. But each obstacle was met with conversation and compassion, their connection deepening rather than fracturing. One evening, as they worked late on plans for a new eco-friendly community center, Michael paused and looked at Emily. "Do you ever wonder how different life might have been if we hadn't taken that leap?" Emily smiled, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the desk lamp. "I think about it every day, but I don't regret it. We built something real out of something uncertain. And that's rare." They shared a quiet laugh, their hands finding each other's across the table, the comfort of touch reaffirming the bond they'd forged. Before we close this heartfelt chapter, I want to ask you, what part of Emily and Michael's journey resonated most deeply with you? Do you believe that love can overcome even the deepest wounds and secrets? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If this story moved you, please comment with no darn 3 below. If you feel it could be better, comment no 1. And if it was just okay, no 2 works too. Where are you watching from today? Your support means everything to me. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and send some hearts. Your encouragement helps us tell more stories that touch the heart. Thank you for being part of this journey.